Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to dive into one of the energy centers in human design that has the potential to cause a lot of pain and pleasure for all of us, and that is the solar plexus. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the undefined or open solar plexus. And so what's the difference between undefined and open, you ask? Well, if you want to get technical, an undefined center is white with some activated gates inside, and an open center is white with no activated gates. But they are commonly understood and used interchangeably. So in order to keep things simple for this video, I will just refer to both as the undefined solar plexus. And by the end of this video, you'll learn the answers to the following questions. What is the solar plexus? What does it mean to have an undefined or open solar plexus? How does the undefined solar plexus interact in relationships? What are the challenges of an undefined solar plexus? What is the potential wisdom of an undefined solar plexus? And lastly, how can I protect my energy with an undefined solar plexus? If you enjoy this video and want to continue to learn and deepen your understanding of human design, I'd be so grateful if you could show me some love, hit that like button, and subscribe to my channel. And with that said, welcome back, beautiful souls. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Crystal Alfarero, and I'm a human design teacher and guide, a 1/3 splenic projector, and I have an undefined solar plexus. My undefined solar plexus has definitely caused quite a bit of chaos in my life, so I wanted to create this video for those who have an undefined solar plexus to really help them better understand themselves, understand how to manage dealing with it so that you can free yourself from old emotional patterns that were never really yours to begin with, and also create more peace and harmony in your life and relationships. This video will also be great for you if you are in a relationship with anyone with an undefined solar plexus, so that you can understand how your energy affects them and understand their specific needs to stay happy and healthy. So let's just dive in. So what is the solar plexus? Well, your solar plexus is one of the 9 energy hubs of the body graph that represents passion and feelings and emotion. It's the most potent and impactful energy center and is the only center with the capacity to be both a motor and an awareness center. The solar plexus operates in these emotional waves and releases a pattern that continuously moves up and down from hope and joy to pain and sadness and back again. And if your solar plexus is colored in, then we call it defined in human design. And if your solar plexus is white, then it's considered undefined or open. Understanding your own solar plexus can be incredibly powerful and healing, as it gives you insight into some of the earliest patterns that cause a lot of chaos, pain, and resistance in our lives right now. And it can also allow you to be more understanding with yourself and those around you. And when we gain this awareness, we are given the opportunity to transform ourselves and our life experience. So what does it mean to have an undefined solar plexus? Well, before I explain what that is, it's important to understand the difference between having a defined versus undefined energy center. Where you are defined is where you have a fixed and consistent source of energy because the energy center is connected to a specific channel. This is you. It's the energy that you bring into this world, and it's your potential strengths and challenges and what you are meant to share with others. And where you're undefined, this is where you are open to taking in the energies of others and your environment and amplifying them. And because of that, you become more susceptible to external conditioning. And as a result, the themes of these open centers is where we tend to face resistance and self-sabotaging patterns. So back to having an open solar plexus. Like I mentioned, the solar plexus is all about feelings and emotions. So if you have an open solar plexus, you do not initiate emotional energy, but rather take in the emotional energy of others and amplify it. So in other words, you are what they would consider to be a traditional empath, and you often feel these emotions stronger than others would themselves. Because you don't initiate your own emotional waves, you tend to be cool, calm, and collected when you're alone, but can often end up feeling super emotional and chaotic in the presence of others. What happens is that there tends to be this big misconception when we're not aware of the design of our own solar plexus. So a lot of people who think they're overly emotional are actually not, because they have an undefined solar plexus. In reality, they're just riding on someone else's emotional wave and amplifying it. So with an open solar plexus, we are some of the most vulnerable people on the planet because we have the tendency to identify with other people's emotions and amplify them and hold on to them. And on top of that, we don't have a fixed means of processing this emotion. So it can be pretty debilitating if you're not aware of it, which is why they say that many people with an undefined solar plexus tend to suffer from emotional instability. With that said, just understanding the mechanics of your solar plexus can be a huge relief because you can learn to let go of the patterns that never belonged to you in the first place. The emotional volatility that you face often comes from the emotional state of whoever is in your aura. So it becomes really important to get your alone time and to clean out that emotional energy of others that you're just constantly taking in throughout the day. So how does the undefined solar plexus interact in relationships? Well, approximately half of the population have a defined solar plexus and the other half has an undefined or open solar plexus, which creates a really interesting dynamic, especially when it comes to relationships. From a genetic standpoint, we are attracted to what we are not, hence the term opposites attract. And what you'll find is that if you have an undefined solar plexus, you'll likely attract those with a defined solar plexus in your life. And I can confirm this because my husband has a defined solar plexus. And boy, if I only knew about human design when we first met, it could have saved me a lot of headache and misunderstandings and taking on things that were just not mine. Like there were times where he would have a bad day at work and then afterwards he'd pick me up, I would get into the car, and I would just feel completely anxious and tense for no reason. I would sometimes get headaches and have trouble breathing. And had I known that what I was feeling was actually not mine, it would have been so much easier to just set that mental boundary and release it, let go of it, and just let it pass rather than carrying it on and carrying it around as my own. And what's happening here is that when an undefined and defined solar plexus come together, the undefined solar plexus will take in the emotional energy of the defined and amplify it. So people with a defined emotional center truly have the capacity to change the energetic environment around them with what they're feeling. And they're really here to bring that depth and richness to our lives. So sometimes those with an undefined solar plexus can either feel really euphoric in their company or just feel completely chaotic and stressed like I used to get. And again, you can either amplify pleasure or pain. And the key for you as an open solar plexus or undefined solar plexus is to be able to recognize it for what it is without judgment and understand it's not yours and just release it. So now with a better understanding of my solar plexus and how I take in energy, I don't identify with other people's emotions anymore and take it on as if it's my own. I know that if my husband's stressed, it's not necessarily me and that my best option is just to go get some space until he comes out of that part of his emotional wave. And I'm also more patient with him. I have a better understanding of what's mine and what's not. And it feels like such a huge relief when you can accept yourself, accept your partner, and also just set those energetic and mental boundaries. What are the challenges of people with an undefined solar plexus? The question for people with an undefined solar plexus is, do you avoid confrontation and truth? People with an undefined solar plexus may have a tendency to avoid confrontation and speaking their truth, and often display people-pleasing tendencies to avoid these uncomfortable emotions that come up. It can manifest as not speaking up for yourself, struggling to set boundaries, and even struggling to ask for help and for your own needs to be met. A lot of people with an undefined solar plexus may do this to avoid the uncomfortable feelings of negative emotions and potential adverse reactions that come with speaking your truth. They may not even ask for their needs to be met so as not to bother anyone, or may not speak their truth to not be mean. So that said, if you don't resonate with being an empath and being sensitive to the energy of others, and of course, I'm not trying to rationalize this, but one thing that you might want to consider is the possibility that through your upbringing and conditioning, you could have developed an emotional coping mechanism where you learn to repress or block off emotions and feelings altogether to protect yourself, which is something that I personally experienced for myself. The thing is that we all experience these emotions and feelings. We are all emotional beings. And if we stuff them down, they can manifest in so many other ways, from anxiety, depression, and other physical health issues, which is what happened to me. Again, through anxiety, through hormonal issues, through skin problems and hair loss. And I would avoid emotions and pain at all costs, to the point where I was honestly just desensitized to emotions altogether. As I started my healing process and really releasing my own traumas and emotional blocks, I opened myself up energetically to become sensitive to emotions and feelings again. So before we move on to the next part of this video, I would love to hear how you experience your undefined solar plexus in your life. So just leave your comment down below and I would love to have this discussion. So what is the potential wisdom of an open solar plexus? The wisdom of an open solar plexus is to allow the feelings of others to pass through without you identifying with them and without you personalizing them. And really to be empathic without personally taking on other people's emotions, and to stand up for yourself when it's important to do so. The best advice for me is to really just state your truth as simply that. It's your truth and not make it about the other person. Another strength of your open solar plexus is that you can be a barometer of the emotional health of the people around you. How can I protect my energy with an undefined solar plexus? So I know we talked a lot about the challenges of having an undefined solar plexus, but the amazing thing about human design is that now you're equipped with the awareness and power to transform your experience. Because you're open and vulnerable to the emotional climate around you, you might have a tendency to identify with the emotions that you're feeling and really personalize them. And this can become very overwhelming and draining. This is why overall, protecting your energy is very important. And here are 3 things that I do to help me protect my energy. So number 1, let go. Learn to observe and recognize the emotions that are going through you when you're alone versus when you're with others. And when you're feeling overwhelmed with emotions around other people, simply just close your eyes, tell yourself, this is not mine, take a deep breath and let it go. And number 2, get space. Physically distance yourself from people if emotions are running crazy and if you're feeling overwhelmed, and really respect your need for space. If you feel uncomfortable in a room, just give yourself permission to leave. Especially if you have an argument with a partner, it's important not to fight with more emotional energy, and just come back when you've gathered yourself or when your partner has come out of their emotional wave, if they have a defined solar plexus. And lastly, number 3, take a shower. I'd like to credit my spiritual coach, Catherine, for this one, but sometimes we tend to pick up emotional energy of others and it can linger around even after we're out of their presence. And I find that showering is a way that's practical and helps me feel clean from an energetic and emotional standpoint. And if you're wanting to get that extra help to understand your own solar plexus and see your true potential, I do offer one-to-one human design readings that include a 60-minute Zoom call. Plus, you get a customized 35+ page human design blueprint for your own learning and reflection that you can always use as a resource guide. And I'll leave a link for you in the description. And this brings me to the end of this episode where we answered the following questions. What is the solar plexus? What does it mean to have an undefined solar plexus? How does the undefined solar plexus interact in relationships? What are the challenges of an undefined solar plexus? What is the potential wisdom of an undefined solar plexus? And lastly, how can I protect my energy with an undefined solar plexus? So if you enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you could show me some love, hit that like button, and hit subscribe to continue to learn more about the wonderful human design system. So with that said, have an amazing day or evening wherever you are, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.